Sie hören Sport und Musik.
It's John Brooks for the USA!
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Happy Monday! Schnitzel Boys energy. Get that BSE, that big Schnitzel energy. The BDE, big Deutschland energy. Big Deutsche energy today. As we are here to cover the German-American soccer experience this week.
That's
Bjorn
right.
Schnitzel, how you doing this week?
I am great. How are you today?
I'm pretty good.
Happy
good.
Rosh Hashanah to all who celebrate.
Oh, it's Rosh Hashanah today. A very happy Rosh Hashanah.
Yep.
It is very cool. End of September. We celebrate all holy days here at the Schnitzel HQ. So
We are. Yeah. I mean, it's my kids are not in school. That's mostly why I'm aware.
nice. So it's a federal holiday or a school holiday. One of those.
A school. It's not a federal. It's a school,
holiday. Yeah.
It is.
I guess it can't. I guess it's illegal
York,
to make any religious holiday a federal holiday. I think, right?
I suppose, yeah, I guess so. I mean, but Christmas counts, though? I don't know. That's
I don't know if it does.
Has religious overtones.
Oh, it's definitely, of course, it's religious. It's a religious holiday. But like, yeah, I know. Okay, let's see. Look at my webcam. Look at it. Just goes dark all of a sudden.
It's very exciting.
Stuff. I need to get a new webcam. Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
You're like, I mean, fall is coming. You're like a one-man haunted house there on your.
Ooh. Remember back in the day, and maybe this was only if you had a bad transfer. So back in the old video rental days, I was an avid video renter. I used to love renting videos.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then, there'd be a video that would consistently go dark and bright. I noticed that 2 or 3 times where like every few minutes it'll go bright and then it'll go dark and it'll go bright, it'll go dark. And I remember that. I remember the first time I saw it, I thought it was some choice the director was making. It was not.
Oh, like
it's just a bad video transfer. Because at the video rental place, they buy one master and then they just copy it and copy and copy it or something like that. Something along those lines. I don't remember how they do. I don't remember how they did.
How they do that? I don't know either. How that worked. The video
the old
store
behind the. So on Wikipedia, according to Wikipedia, the very first video rental store in the world was in Germany.
Really?
Yeah.
Was probably
like
porn related.
Maybe.
Or probably.
Porn. Let me look that up because that's like an old
huge,
and probably
huge
also
porn,
how accurate that.
Huge porn country, Germany.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the United States is the porn capital of the world, but Germany probably comes in a close second.
Well, and in Germany, a lot of I don't know if this is still the case, but it used to be that the porn industry was largely in the hands of women. Interestingly, in Germany,
nice, they deserve it.
There was they deserve Beate. There was Beate Uhse, famously porn magnet of Germany.
I don't know who that is. Beate Uhse.
Beate Uhse, yeah, UHSE. She was. I mean, she must no longer be alive. I would be shocked. But she had a chain. You know, this is like in Europe. You have, I guess this is now more common in the US as well. But in Germany, when I was a child, it was, you know, they were just sex shops.
Right.
In the middle of town, you know, not stealth in any way, like just sort of sex. You just go in. I don't know. And they would have. And Beate Uhse was basically the brand that you were most familiar with as a German person.
Well, Germans in general and Germany in general they're just very open with that whole side of life, like sex and nudity. They're just like, and which I 100% understand. They're just like, it's like we all do it. We're all naked. Like, there's nothing to hide. If you go to a German pool or a German beach, 9 times out of 10, it's perfectly fine to be nude. Someone's going to be nude there. No one cares. If you see a person's private parts, It's like, yeah, we're human beings. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And sex shops, like, we all have sex. So here you go. Where in the United States, it's very much like it's like it's off on the highway. There's decency laws. I was just this is actually a good segue. Two things. It's a good segue. First thing here,
Okay.
I just want to go back to what we're talking about. My mind's all over the place. Okay, the world's oldest business renting out copies of movies for private use was opened by Eckhard Baum in Kassel, Germany, in the summer of 1970.
Okay.
Baum collected movies on Super 8 as a hobby and lent them out to his friends and acquaintances, kind of like the invention of a library. And then the first professionally managed video store was here in Los Angeles, baby, Wilshire Boulevard.
I see. Okay.
20th Century Fox signed an agreement with Magnetic Video and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so there you go. It's a little bit. But the segue, the sex shop, I was just watching the Rammstein in America documentary last night.
Oh,
great documentary.
You got to.
Great documentary. They famously were arrested in Worcester, Massachusetts, for doing part of their act on stage, which was simulating. What's the word? Simulating. I forgot what the word was. I forgot what simulating. God, I can't believe it was good. Simulating a thing, an act of love between two people. I forgot what it's called.
What do you call it? Fellatio?
Sodomy.
Sodomy.
Sodomy. They emulate sodomy on stage, and the cops arrested them. It's called a lewd and a decency law, and it's a typical law built for the police to control what they don't like. Simple as that. I mean, like, what the hell is a lewd law? That's also the same law they use to arrest comedians sometimes and shit like that. It's a law that more conservative states use to throw people in jail for things they don't like, which is hilarious for a bunch of East Germans to come to the United States and be thrown in prison here for speech. As opposed to what they do back in East Germany. But yeah, the reason I saw the Rammstein documentary is because
you went to see the show.
To the Rammstein in
and
Los
this
Angeles
also,
show.
I don't know, is this okay to say on the show that this was your first concert ever?
Right. It's perfectly okay to say on the show because it is essentially the first ever concert I've ever been to. And oh boy, was it a concert. It was such an amazing show. Oh, Bjorn, if you ever get the chance, go to a Rammstein show. I'm telling you. Have you been?
No, I was looking into it. They're coming... I think they're here in New York this weekend, but I cannot go because I'm going. Well, I guess if
this weekend, I know they're in. I looked them up. They're in Mexico City. I think you missed it.
I'm wrong. Hold on, I
missed them. They probably were in that area, but a few months ago. And their next dates are only in Europe for the summer, so we have to wait a little. bit.
Well, they were anyway. They were coming. I guess it must have been during our my Grand Canyon trip then. Because they were coming to New York, and I couldn't. The date didn't work because I was interested. I'm not a huge. I mean, I don't know them all that well, and so But like, the what I've seen of their shows is. But anyway, you were there. Tell us everything.
Well, what I will say is, if you're not a big fan of Rammstein, it doesn't matter. You'll still have a good time with the show because Rammstein, they're showmen, they're pyrotechnics, so. Every one of their songs comes with like a play, a lot of fire, a lot of fireworks. A lot of
it starts with a lot of smoke,
makeup,
right? It starts with a lot of smoke. I saw some on video.
They even do magic. Like there's a scene. There's a scene. I forgot what the song was, but the lead singer to Lindemann has this fire rocket gun. So it's got like 5 tubes that launch fire rockets, essentially like fireworks. And he launched it up the stage. And then it goes up, so the fireworks launch straight up. They hit something, making a little explosion happen. Then fireworks launch straight back over the audience, and they hit the center speaker tower, and then they make fireworks there. Then fireworks come back downward, angle back to the stage again, and blow up the stage again. So. Well, after that happens, sometimes it goes up, over, down, like perfectly straight shot fireworks. And the guy next to me looked at each other. We looked at each other. We're like, how do you do that? That's like magic. You'd see that like a Penn and Teller show. But anyway, to fly over all their stuff, it was 1,300 tons, 500-member crew, 4-day setup, and they needed 7 747s to fly it all over from Germany.
Wow.
Just the set. it's a frickin' show. They do these great sequences where there's a scene. Do you know that famous case of Armin Boevers, the German cannibal, like 10 years ago?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have a song, very song based on him. So during the song, they cook one of their team members. So like the keyboarder, Flacke, goes in this giant pot on stage, and they put a lid on it. And then Till, the lead singer, takes a fire gun and just roasts the pot with fire during the set. It is so fun. And then there's a scene. There's like a thing where like we have a little bit of intermission, and the cameras are showing around, and all these ladies are flashing because they're partying, having a good time. They just find one person after another, guys and ladies, to flash and show stuff. And then they do that so that Rammstein can relocate to the center of the audience. And they're just on an island in the middle of the crowd. And then to do a little soft ballad. And then when they're done, they take these boats, these dinghies, these inflatable dinghies, and they crowd surf over the audience back to the stage. And then they sing Ausländer. And Ausländer is a song about Europeans taking boats and going to the New World. So not only was it a cool gimmick, it like made sense to the piece. So the whole piece made sense. It was at the Olympic Coliseum, so the very first thing they did was play the Olympic theme as the Rammstein logo comes up. And then it was just such a beautiful. That wasn't even half of it. It was just such a fun show. So thumbs up to the Rammstein show. If you ever get a chance, go to Rammstein. Last thing I'll say, I sat next to two really great people as a husband and wife.
Okay.
And towards the end of the show, I look over and I realize they had their infant baby daughter with them.
Oh boy.
It's 11 o'clock at night at a Rammstein show.
How?
And
when you say infant, what do you?
She was a baby. She must have been. She's been 1 year old at tops, because she had little earmuffs on. She had some hair, but she had little earmuffs on. She was in the arm of the mother, and during the show, like during Buch dich or something like that, during one of those signs which is German for bend over, she has her baby out, and she's like, "Yay, Buch!" Her baby, like it's a little like kids show. So I look over, I'm like, "You have your baby?" And the husband looks back at me, he's like, "Yeah, she's happy. Look at her." Like they love the fact they couldn't find a sitter that night, but it wasn't stopping them from going to Rammstein.
Yeah, I mean, when they're that little, you can sort of take them everywhere if you put them in a sling. Right.
But it was very loud, and they had little earmuffs from her, and it did the trick, I guess. So well done. They did it right. So that was my experience at Rammstein.
Which is just a fun word to say.
It's
Rammstein.
Rammstein, which is actually essentially an American word, because it's named after the Ramstein U.S. Air Force Base. And in the 80s, there was something called the Ramstein Air Force disaster.
Yeah,
during an air show,
that was only one M though, right?
True. They added a second M to change it up. And also, I saw an interview. There's a second meaning to Rammstein. I forgot what it was, but it is a German term. I forgot what it means.
Rahmen means basically like ram, like a battering ram. Or if you hit another car, that's called ramen.
Oh, ramen. And Stein is a stone, so ram stone. I don't know. But there is some sort of double meaning. But more power to them. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of those guys. They were like part of a couple East German punk bands. They got together and they won a bunch of festivals and they transcended Europe. And, they just have a good work ethic and they're great showmen. So I'm all about Rammstein. I'm all about them.
Yeah, I would have been interested, but it didn't work scheduling wise. Next time. Yeah,
I mean, I think I'm going to Germany next year. And I would love to see if I can maybe go to a Rammstein show on there. I know they have a European summer tour, and most of the dates are already sold out. Wow, but I'm assuming they do.
So you were in the stands? You were not on the floor.
I was not in the Feuerzone.
The Feuerzone.
The fire zone. I was up. I was in the nosebleeds. I was way up, but I still had a great time. And also, I'd never been inside the Memorial Coliseum before. We were next to it because LAFC plays right next door.
Yeah, I looked inside.
We were able to look into it, which is funny because I'm wondering how many people were allowed to stand in front of the Coliseum, just like look into the show for free. I'm sure plenty. Mm-hmm. But I was in. It's a beautiful, giant, open air place. It was also a beautiful night, and I really want to go. They have a lot of USC sort of football games there, and I want to go to a USC football game. Might be fun. check out the Memorial Coliseum.
Yeah.
But that leads into Germany doing German things. Germany had a couple games this week preparing for the World Cup.
Oh, yeah.
This is the final dress rehearsal. This is the last batch of games before all of a sudden the real thing happens. And it happens fast because there will be games. And I want to say less than a week later, there will be World Cup games. It goes straight into
Yeah, there's not going to be a lot of right. That's true, actually. That is a big difference from regular years where you have a little bit of a summer break and then there's training camps and they usually have a couple of warm-up friendlies. There's going to be none of that.
Nope.
As you're saying, it's going to be a week and then
straight to
it's
the
going
game.
to start. So there's going to be it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird. There's going to be a little bit of chaos, and we did get a little taste of that today in the Germany-England game. I guess we should start with the Germany-Hungary game, and that was just, that was really disappointing. I mean, the Nations League, nobody cares, right? Maybe Thomas Müller said they're glorified friendlies, and it's a weird, maybe it's worth talking about for just a minute. This Nations League, it's weird because it has, it has all these different tiers, four different tiers for different groups. There's promotion, relegation from the A to the B, and we treat it as, sort of glorified friendlies. But there are real repercussions for the lower level teams. There are paths to, the Euro qualification groups are determined by the Nations League. Some certain nations can get Euro qualification playoff spots based on their Nations League performance. So it's not like it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter to the top teams. And so really who gets screwed are the lower level teams, because now, England's getting relegated, so they are going to find themselves in a different pot for the Euro qualifier. So England is going to be in some group with some other seeded team. So if you have Spain and England in a group together and two teams qualify, everybody else in that group is going to feel like they don't have a good chance. So it's a weird thing. It doesn't matter, but yet it does matter. But really, for the big teams, it doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, because I guess the first elephant in the room is Nations League. I understand this. Essentially, the way it used to be is they just had all these FIFA windows, and people would arrange friendlies however they could. And they're just like, let's just turn that into a system. Let's turn it into a system. Let's make it matter a little more. Let's just turn it into a system. And I kind of get that. I guess it makes more sense that way. Maybe less freedom in coordinating who you get to play against.
Well,
but
and
more based on
yeah, and it's good for the lower level teams who have something to play for, right? They can
work their way up, I guess.
They can work their way up. They can get, because the best team, even in the last group, gets a playoff spot for the Euro qualifier. So teams like, I don't know, Andorra, the Faroe Islands, San Marino, that really never had anything to play for, now are grouped with other teams of similar strength. And so there's a little, so I understand the concept, and it's not bad conceptually, but you were going to say something else. Keep going.
Well, I was going to say two things. The whole thing of winning it, I don't think anyone cares. Like, who won the last two Nations League finals? You know what I mean? I think Portugal won the first one, maybe.
Portugal did.
Maybe France won the second one. I don't remember. No one cares. So maybe I guess, I mean, you have to give them something, right? But maybe just a quick plaque. Don't make it a whole thing. I would say up top, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter what's going on up top, but it's easy to take it less seriously if you're giving out titles. And it's like, well, if you're doing that, then what's the whole point of the Euros? That's what the Euros are for. So, I guess I get a little confused by that. The other thing is it can be kind of hampering for some of the bigger teams, because England's being relegated, and I guess it affects seeding, so there's some stakes. But I think the next teams, they don't get to play major opposition anymore until they get promoted again, right? Because now they're playing Italy and Germany, which is good for them. But now on their next round of whatever Nations League is next,
it's going to be Austria and
Slovenia and Austria, teams like that. I don't know. What so it's like, what what prepares you better, Austria or Germany?
Well, you get what you deserve. I mean, they finished last, and so that's what they're dealing with.
Yeah. So I guess all in all, I guess I'm fine with the Nations League. I just think we need to put less of an emphasis of the winning aspect of it, and more on the emphasis of just being a little bit of a system, or maybe loosen the system. Like, I don't know. I'm fine with it.
It seems that the teams that are not going to the World Cup have done better on average in this Nations League than the teams that are going. It seems like there is some, the good nations, the players are a little cautious. Nobody wants to get hurt. Nobody wants to get, because there's a World Cup in 6 weeks, so everybody's a little bit tentative, and the teams that are not going are doing better. Like in this group, it was Italy, England, Germany, and Hungary, and Hungary almost won the group. They really, because they beat Germany on the road on Saturday, and then Italy. If Italy hadn't gotten the last minute equalizer against England, they would have won the group outright before the last day, but they did not. So, and then today they lost at home to Italy. So Italy, who is not going to the World Cup, won this group, and they're going to the Final Four. And Germany and England play to a kind of crazy 3-3 draw, where Stu Holden was going through a roller coaster as a commentator while he was because he had us. The first half was pretty lackluster. England had some chances. Ter Stegen had a great game, actually. The German goalie Manuel Neuer was out with COVID, and Ter Stegen filled in very, very well. He had a couple of good saves in the first half where England was looking dangerous. And then in the second half, Germany came out very strong, got a VAR penalty call on a Musiala. I mean, this was really
good call.
This was really Harry Maguire being Harry Maguire. I mean, he's already lost his starting spot at Man United, and I don't think he's going to be starting for the English national team much longer either. I mean, he really was very clumsy after being nutmegged by Musiala. Right. The ref kind of didn't want to call it, even though this was really the clearest penalty in the history of penalties. But there was VAR. He went to check. They got the penalty. İlkay Gündoğan, very souverän in Germany, we would say, very calm and collected. He nailed it, and then Kai Havertz got a goal, very nice. Again, Harry Maguire with a weird giveaway in midfield and counterattack, and then Kai Havertz really slotted it nicely in the top left corner of the goal. And then Germany was up 2-0, and Stu Holden had us winning the World Cup. He was definitely one of the favorites. After Brazil, Argentina, maybe France, and then Germany definitely in the mix. And I was like, I don't think so. I definitely do not feel that confident about this team. And then sure enough, two very quick goals by England tied it, and then
they led.
And then they led. Harry Kane got a penalty. England got a penalty that Harry Kane then.
They overturned 2-0 to 3-2, so good on them.
Yeah, they had a 3-2 lead, and then everything changed. All of a sudden, now England was one of the favorites.
Yeah.
Now England's going to win the World Cup, and now England is all of a sudden the front runner. And
thank God for Nick Pope.
For Nick Pope spilling a shot from distance, and we got to give a shout out to Robin Gosens, who is back.
It's funny, he shows up when the tournaments happen. He's like, I'm still here.
I mean, and he came in and he really won that ball on the left side with his who also played well on that side. Just having both of those guys potentially really is a big upgrade for the German team, because the fullbacks have been a little a little weak, and on the right it's still a little bit between Jonas Hoffmann, Thilo Kehrer. It's still a little bit of a question mark, but both Raum and Gosens are so solid over there, and Gosens won the ball back, got it to Gnabry. He took a shot, and Pope could not hold on. I mean, people were saying, "Oh, he should hold." I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. Like, it was not such an obvious gimme. Anyway, he couldn't hold on, and then Kai Havertz got another one, slotting it past him for the 3-3, which
so my thing is, they aped each other, right? All three, they were going back at each other. The goals were very similar. Luke Shaw's pullback goal was one of those that was just over the line, also scrambled and kicked it in there. Very similar to Kai Havertz's equalizer, where he just scrapped it in there and was able to. So there's that. The penalty matched the penalty. Two very similar penalties. And then Kai Havertz's rocket matched Saka's Mason Mount rocket, right? Who scored that? I think it was Mason Mount. Musiala took the ball, handled 3 or 4 guys, and did that great turnover counterattack, which I believe led to the penalty, I want to say. And Saka did the same thing going back the other way. Saka came on the field, took the ball, took care of 3 or 4 Germans, and then kicked the ball in the box for Mason Mount to finish it. So very similar work from both teams. They're very similar quality-wise, and I think they went back at each other. If there's anything you can do, I can do better. But yeah, you can do it, so can I.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of turnovers, a lot of counterattacks, and on ESPN FC, the article was Germany and England have a thrilling game, but both expose major frailties. It's like, but neither are convincing to getting into the World Cup. And I'm like, I would sober take. I think
I would agree with that. Like, I think we sort of get the sense now of what this German starting team is. I think we've seen enough of Hansi Flick's lineups that we sort of know. And I mean, like I said, the fullbacks are what they are. Today we had at center back, we had Schlotterbeck and Süle. That is a little bit of a
Schlotterbeck is Schlotterbeck always worries me a little bit.
They together are not. I don't think we're gonna win a World Cup with Schlotterbeck and Süle. Now we have Tony Rüdiger. Tony Rüdiger was I think he had a yellow card suspension. I think that's why he was not playing, and so he is preferred by me, I guess, to be in there, and then we'll see who the second one is. Another noteworthy thing to say is that my man Armel Bella Kotschap of Bochum fame and now moved to Southampton. We miss him dearly. He got his debut off the bench at center back. They played 3 in the back for a while with Thilo Kehrer being number 3.
Okay,
I don't know. It's
and Kimmich was a wing back, or what?
Kimmich is the double pivot. This is what gives me. That's what gives me hope about this team. The Kimmich Gundogan double pivot in the midfield is like, I mean,
there's no better double.
Who has two better midfielders than that anywhere in the world? And Gundogan was great today, really exceptionally good, and. Between the two of them, there is just a lot more, and I think what you're saying, England and Germany being very similar. I agree, but that's where I feel like we have a huge advantage, that there is the midfield is, when everything's going, is very productive, like in terms of build up and getting the ball in a way that the English team is not. Where they are sort of more content. I mean, they have that speed on the break. They have Sterling and so they are more sort of sitting in a lower block or a mid block and trying to counter. Whereas Germany is a more possessing team and has more quality on the ball in the midfield. Now, unfortunately, the front line is still pretty toothless.
Other than Gnabry, there's something up with Gnabry. Gnabry is not the same Gnabry he's been just in general, both at Bayern and the national team. Kai Havertz is in form, good on Kai. And Timo Werner, who's up there. Again, he's not the same Timo Werner he was. Chelsea broke him a little bit. He still needs to get on form. He still needs to bring his old self back.
Timo Werner is like, he's such he's a hard worker, and you kind of
Right.
always root for him, but he just his decision making is poor. Like he shoots when he should pass, he passes when he should shoot, and he was in a couple of good positions where this game could have been put away really early.
Right. Yeah, Timo missed a couple sitters.
Timo missed a couple sitters. Kai Havertz at the 9 before Timo comes in. Kai Havertz at the 9 also, like in Chelsea, hasn't been super effective. Leroy Sané is improving. It's been great for Bayern lately, better for Bayern, but that has not yet quite, or at least it didn't today. He's had some better games also for the national team recently, but today also was a little quiet. It seemed all a little bit sloppy and disconnected at the top. And then Musiala is obviously a huge talent, and he had some great moments. Thomas Müller came off the bench.
He had a good, I think he's in good shape of all the players.
Yeah,
Musiala is really coming into his own.
It's on paper, it's a good team, and there is a lot of quality. I think, like I said, the midfield is very good. Leon Goretzka probably is going to get into that mix at some point when he fully recovers from his injury. So there's a lot to like. It hasn't really clicked yet, and there is a real number 9 missing.
Right.
But I could I certainly don't think that we're a favorite to win this tournament. I really don't. I don't believe that. Like it hasn't. But there is so much quality that if this team does come together, and just that the Kimmich Gundogan, that's under Jogi Löw, we saw so little of those two together, and they really are figuring out how to. And it's when they started playing that position together, it was, at least in the beginning, it was a little awkward. They're often in the same spot. Their spacing is still in, but it's really developing. Right. And I think that just has so much potential. The more that they play together and the more that kind of develops, could really be great. But as we talked about, there is not a lot of time. This is kind of it. So
yeah, they're done,
so
right?
We'll see. Yeah,
Germany's
they have
next
one
game is Germany's. They had 2, right? Do they have 3?
No, this was it for this window. They have one more because they start a little bit later in the cup, in the World Cup. So they have one sort of one friendly scheduled, but that's just going to be like, I don't think that's going to be like literally 3 days before their first game of the World Cup or so. And so there's not going to be a lot of that's not going to mean all that much. So it's I can get very excited about this team in some ways, but it's also been very frustrating, especially these last 2 games, where against Hungary I don't think they had a shot on goal, and in this game too, for a lot of the evening, they seemed just very, very toothless in the front line, and ultimately we had a little help on at least two of the 3 goals. We can thank Harry Maguire.
A spill and a penalty, yeah. So their next game before the World Cup is against the mighty Oman.
Yeah, right.
Oman. They're going to really school them. I think they're just in the Middle East to get warm there. I guess it says they're in Oman. Oman's hosting.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just like I said. This is just because I think they start later than other teams in the tournament, so they have a little bit of time to get another game in.
Oh, good for them. The one silver lining of all this, I mean, there are a few, but the big one is nobody in Europe is performing well. Everyone is underperforming. The French lost to Denmark 2-0. The Italians are terrible, but they're not going to the World Cup. They're just terrible in general.
No, the Italians won the group. They beat Hungary today.
Oh, did they? Well, but they're not going to the World Cup, so it doesn't matter.
They're not, right. But that's why I think that's why we're seeing this, like everybody else is trying to else is trying to not get hurt and be sort of cautious. And Italy is like, they have young players who are trying to make an impression. They have nothing. Yeah, they have nothing to lose. They're not going to the World Cup, and so they won the group.
Yeah, and like I think Brazil and Argentina are on a warpath right now, and good on them. But they were like that the last few tournaments. When it comes to the tournament, well, I'm really excited because of COVID. It's like an old school World Cup, which we've talked about before. These teams have spent the last 4 years just hanging out in their conference for the most part, playing their neighbors. And this is like, all right, let's play each other now. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
And it is pretty telling that we're all over the place. Like a lot, some teams are tired, and which sort of brings me into this sort of, like Brazil and Argentina doing well, and they're figuring out. Apparently, Argentina finally figured themselves out. Good on you, but you haven't played European opposition yet. So,
and
4
this
years
is
ago it was the same thing. 4 years ago it was also the same thing. You can come in strong, but then when you play an organized European team, this is a totally different ballgame for you guys.
And it's genuinely neutral, neutral site. It's not
a weird time and a weird country.
Yeah, it's a weird time. There really is no telling how this is going to go.
Yeah, it's quite the variable. So, speaking of Germany, the World Cup and whatnot, how do you feel? We'll segue here about Germany versus Japan. How do you feel about that game? Did watching the USA Japan friendly change your mind on the Germany Japan matchup coming up to the World Cup?
I hadn't thought about this much. I mean, I think it's like a lot of the German team has the talent.
Right.
They have the quality. If they get it together, they're going to beat Japan easily. But
I don't think there's anything's going to be easy about it. I'm not saying the Japanese are favorites. I still think they're underdogs. But the Japanese is a team comprised of a lot of Bundesliga regulars.
Yeah, they're very. I mean, they're very solid. They're very.
So
solid
they know their German teammates, and B, a lot of these guys are going to the third or fourth World Cup. So it's just a team that just knows each other well,
and that's going to be an advantage with this short preparation, probably. No, I agree. That was going to be the second half of my sentence, that if there's any kind of sloppiness or arrogance or then Japan could very easily surprise them. Yeah, that was the case against the US, right? They were sort of. It's not like Japan. It's not like you look at that team and you're like, oh boy, they're gonna run us over. But they are very well organized, and they were very. They were just more into it. I think maybe it was more of the second stringers, it looked like, in the Japanese lineup that were still sort of trying to lock down a starting spot or trying to impress. So there was
perhaps
maybe a little more spring in their step, a little more urgency. Whereas the US team, especially in the first half, just looked like they were gotten off the plane and were like, we're just trying to, phone it in.
That's my worry, though. There's no excuses. They both played on the same pitch. Apparently, the pitch got a lot of criticism, which is surprising. You figure a German stadium has a good pitch. Apparently, the pitch is a little uneven. I'm very surprised by that.
In Düsseldorf?
Come on, Düsseldorf. Be professional now. And yes, it was maybe it was a Japan organized friendly, but there are only 5,000 people in that stadium. It was a trainings match, and then the U.S. the Japanese came in from further. Most of these guys are European and German based anyway, so they come in far. But for the executive staff and the domestic players, the Japanese had a longer flight. I mean, slightly maybe, but longer, and so that's not an excuse. And then when they played, the Japanese played a very effective system. They figured this out right away. They took our system and schooled us in it. And they're like, oh, yeah, you play system? We'll take it. Then they adapted to us, and we couldn't adapt because we're like, So look at that. I'm like, the Japanese are striking passes. They're countering our high press. They broke that right away. Very easy to read. And the U.S. had no answers for that. Then the only reason the second half was a little more chill is because the Japanese held off. And they're just like, let them come. Yeah, the Japanese controlled that game from minute 1 to minute 90.
It's true. It's true. They were definitely the game state was in their favor.
I think the Japanese were ready to go. They're like, "Hey, you're doing that. We changed in the fly. We're good to go. And I don't know if you saw on the broadcast, it zoomed into 4 or 5 of these little old school magnetic boards. Did you see that with all the players and all that stuff?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
I think it was a halftime. So they had like 4 or 5 these little whiteboards with
Oh,
magnets.
that they had on the bench for people to
The Japanese. They were very
interesting.
prepared, researched, and ready. They like Greg's mathematics that he instills in his players. The Japanese are like, yeah, we got that. Don't worry, we get you.
No
they just
problem.
understood us. They were prepped and researched, and they were good to go. And they
Right.
just got our number. And then it's
yeah,
for
there was
US
just a
fans,
lack of
alarming. It's like,
intensity, yeah.
how easy are we to disassemble? Apparently pretty easy. So there's that. But yes, the other big thing is the players didn't show up. I mean, Walker Zimmerman and Aaron Long are still off form.
Yeah, there was just a lack of intensity, right,
Sam-
from top to bottom.
Sam Vines is out of his depth. He doesn't know what to do over there.
Sam Vines did not do himself. Also, Luca de la Torre, I think, was the first sort of
Very
chink in his armor, where
Right.
he was one of the rising stars over recent months, and he did not have a good game. And,
well, also it's alarming between him and a guy like Chris Richards. They moved to bigger clubs, but they're not playing. Chris Richards is injured. I'd love to know where he got that injury from. And Luca de la Torre, he's not playing. He's not sitting on the bench. He's not playing in Celta Vigo. So,
yeah.
It'd be in many ways, I'd rather have stayed in Eredivisie for another year, just so he can keep playing.
Yeah, and there is just some, and then
Johnny
there were
Cardozo came on, and he was ineffective.
And Yunus Musa was missing. Christian Pulisic was not playing.
Gio Reyna did not have an amazing game, but again, he's still getting his feet wet, and he doesn't 100% know what to do on the team yet. I think Josh Sargent, people praised him way too highly. I thought he had quite the sloppy second half. I mean, some bad touches, ran into some players. I didn't see much from Josh Sargent. And the big storyline about that is Greg Berhalter's bending over backwards to make sure Josh Sargent and Ricardo Pepi get on this team. And
Ricardo Pepi
does not.
Ricardo Pepi is
starting
tomorrow. We've heard, yeah.
He's going to be given a shot. I'm sure Josh Sargent will be given more minutes. But I'm telling you, if tomorrow is any much like last Thursday, I'm like, Josh Sargent and Ricardo Pepi both should be cut from the roster. It's like, cut both of them. Bring in Haji Wright and Jordan Peacock. Why not?
If you have toothless and kind of offensively harmless performances like that, you definitely are not going to quiet down the people calling for Peacock. And I mean, yeah, it's
and then in the back, it's like no Tim Ream, no John Brooks. Are you sure? It's like Mark McKenzie did okay. Aaron Long and Walker Zimmerman did not do okay. They had the ball, and they were just stripped very easily by a decent European opposition. And what I mean by that is the Japanese players, a lot of them are European-based. So these are Bundesliga-level players, and they're playing against MLS-level center backs. And it showed. They're like, oh, yeah, we got that. It's like you're not posing much of a threat. Yeah. But Matt Turner, the one bright side is like Matt Turner is A, in great shape. B, it's looking like he's going to get a decent amount of games before the World Cup. If he gets all the alternate starts, I think that's 6 or 7 games before the World Cup.
He'll get some
World Cup games.
Time.
So I think that goalkeeper position is looking good, solidified, and Matt Turner's not going to be rusty coming in the World Cup. So that's the one sort of big plus with this. That's been solved. But the rest is way up in there because Christian Pulisic starts. Like Christian Pulisic is an unknown. How has he been? What's he up to these days?
Yeah. There's lots of questions. And as somebody pointed out on Twitter, all of the teams the US faces in the World Cup have a higher FIFA ranking than Japan.
Yeah, definitely don't sleep on. I mean, the English, definitely. The Welsh, again, it's a team full of English Premier League professionals, just like how Japan's a lot of Prem and Bundesliga players. These are not MLS players, except for Gareth Bale. The one notable exception is Gareth Bale. Their team captain is an MLS player. That's true. But the rest of these players, they're all like English Premier League players. Probably, I haven't looked at the exact roster.
Well, but Gareth Bale is gonna single-handedly bring them down, right? Bring down the.
Maybe.
Now that he's gone to MLS.
I don't know what he's doing at LAFC. I think he's hanging out, chilling a little bit. But So that's the Welsh. We have a 50 against Welsh. And then don't sleep on Iran. Iran beat Uruguay yesterday or 2 days ago or 3 days. I forget where it was. Iran got Carlos Queiroz, the great Carlos Queiroz. Former Metro Stars coach Carlos Queiroz is now coaching Iran. I think he's coached them before. He's in a relationship with them. Iran's in great shape. Don't sleep on Iran. So
yeah, there's no gimmies. It's a tough group. It's not an easy group. And
I mean, this could very well be 3 losses. Very well. The U.S. is not superior than these teams. It's the Iran and Wales game are 50-50. Maybe on paper they should be slight favorites. Definitely against Iran, I think. But if they look sloppy, it's that thing where whenever they play, it looks like they're trying to solve rocket science. It's you know what I mean? They're just like in their heads. They feel stuck. It's liberate our boys, Greg. Let them play long. Figure it out.
I don't subscribe to this theory. It's not the system's fault if the players don't have the intensity. That's not about tactics or the system. It's not about that. It's just they didn't show up, and sometimes that happens. It's
but my thing is they were blank. Like they're like, what you're trying to do isn't working. My problem is they had no response to that.
Well,
as players, as characters, they're like, all right, let's figure it out. Let's go long. Let's figure this out.
But it's a lack of intensity. It's not a tactical. Right. It's not a tactical problem, and it's not. And we've seen them differently. This is not typical for this group, and it's I mean, we've seen this. Yes, this is happening to other countries too. England, Germany, like we were saying. A lot of this is a weird window. People are kind of a little bit. Treading a little lightly, being a little cautious. So I don't think we need to make too much of it. But it's not a good performance.
My alarm is that, or my thing is that the only even footing opposition they played over the last few years has been Canada and Mexico. And they beat Mexico, sure. But Mexico still tends to have the ball. They haven't convinced against Mexico super hard. And against Canada is very unconvincing. I think the Canadians had our number.
Right.
So in the past few years, that's been it. Our dominance has come against Honduras and Guatemala and Costa Rica. That's where.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We got
Iran ain't Honduras. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah. So we'll see what they play. We'll see them show up against Saudi Arabia. But again, Saudi Arabia is softer opposition than Japan, I think, and probably then Iran and Wales too. So Saudi Arabia going to that tournament?
Yeah, Saudi Arabia is not going to be that good. That strong opposition, but I don't know. No, I think they're going. Yeah.
So my internet here, for whatever reason, Yahoo's the default search. It's Yahoo pages, and it's like Yahoo, you ain't Google. I'm used to my Google workflow, so I don't.
100% right. Yeah. Well, anyway, I bought the Panini sticker album, and
you did?
with the first set of because I live in Greenport, which is a Polish neighborhood, so the Polish stationery store had the packs ready to go. So I got a bunch of. So all this to say is, I will have memorized the groups of the World Cup in a couple of weeks. Currently, I'm not fully on top of it yet. But thanks to the Panini sticker album, I will know who's in which group and who's going by heart in the next couple of weeks.
I'm glad you brought that. That inspires me to go get that too. The Panini album, or what I usually get is usually like a big Sports Illustrated or ESPN World Cup preview issue. I usually like to go and get that. I remember in the 2002 World Cup, I had like a bazillion preview album that had all the teams and the previews. Yeah, and with the U.S., they had a whole profile on Josh Wolf and how Josh Wolf is the next U.S. superstar. And like with players like Josh Wolf, watch out. And I think he was injured for that. I don't know if he played much in that World Cup. I don't know how much he played. Joshua. Yeah.
Shout out, doing very well coaching Austin FC these days. So he has a successful career.
That Brazilian magazine was half right. It did call out his future somehow.
That's very funny.
But I should
we do. We put up posters where we write in results and stuff for the World Cup for sure. Yeah, that's definitely happens in my family.
On Reddit, there was apparently this thing shared around where some investment firm that predicted the last two winners of the World Cup predicted this World Cup. And I think they predicted Argentina to win, maybe. But in it had Germany being eliminated to Portugal in the round of 16. Oh, no, it predicted the United States getting out of the group but being eliminated in the round of 16. And I'm like, and I looked at their all the predictions. All it was just a rundown of the statistical favorites. I think, I had Germany losing to Portugal in the round of 16, though. And I'm like, no, Germany doesn't lose to Portugal. No matter how bad Germany is, the only team they can always destroy is Portugal. It's always Portugal. The last two tournaments, they never even beat them slightly. Yeah. They never beat them slightly. They always
usually pretty satisfying. Yeah. That was
Euro
definitely
2000. Euro 2000, the exception.
Yeah,
I remember
that was
Germany
a long
had to get a result, and they were destroyed 3-0. But those were the old days. This is the new day. New days, Germany scores 4 goals against Portugal.
Yeah, it's very hard. I think this one is extremely hard to predict. There's always, there's the investment firm or the squid, right? There was the squid last time, or
Paul the octopus.
Yeah, the octopus, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be hard. Even those, this is going to be a tough one to predict.
Well, it's time for the TikToks and memes and stories. There's always stuff. When Mexico beat Germany 4 years ago during the World Cup, if you remember, there was a little video of an old Mexican grandma when the players were panned on the TV. She would cross them with a rosary and bless each and every single one of them. And the TikTok or the Instagram video or whatever the social media was at the time, the Twitter video was like, I think my grandma won the world. It's like, I think my grandma won the game or something like that. And she was just blessing all the players.
Amazing. Yeah, that's good. I mean, whatever it takes. I have to find a new place to go, I guess, here in Greenpoint. I've been... Yeah, the last two tournaments, I went to the Black Forest Cafe on Smith Street, and I really have some bad memories of just games that went terribly wrong. So I'm not going back there.
Right.
And here,
what about that place we went? Where was that? Is that within walking?
Oh, the Kent Ale House. Yeah, no, that's a great place. But I need to be with my people.
Right,
that is not a German bar specifically.
Well, how far are you from? Doesn't Williamsburg have that huge a beer garden?
Oh, like das Spritzenhaus. Is that actually German?
Something like that. I don't know.
It has a German name, but is it actually going to be? Yeah, I don't know. I need to.
If it's really going to be pro-German or not? Yeah.
Is it really going to be? Yeah, there might be places in Queens. I don't know. I'll have to get into it. It's also, it's in fucking November. It's not like we're all going to be outside on the street or anything like that.
I know. They have to get those kerosene heaters extra hot. Extra hot.
I mean,
I told you I found my little spot out here called the House of Football.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm going to try to go see some games there. Our soccer bar, like the U.S. supporters soccer bar, is shut down. And as far as I know, they don't have an alternate location yet, so I got to figure out where they are.
Yeah.
And then probably 9 times out of 10, which is what I did last time, is I'll just watch it in the comfort of my own home. I got my 4K TV, and beer's cheaper at home, and
Well, we have a big projector. Yeah.
But what I will say is going to a live bar or a live event. Like when I watched one of the World Cups when I was in Raleigh, North Carolina, I went to the one German restaurant in town. And it was fun being around 20 or 30 other people, surrounded the TV, cheering with people just heightens your emotion.
It
just puts you somewhere.
Sure, yes.
Yeah.
I definitely, especially when it comes to the World Cup, I like to be with my people.
Everyone's like, oh! And maybe you're late to the game or it's halftime. And in the corner, you can hear what's going on simply based on the crowd, the whole bar going like, oh, and yeah. You sort of get the play-by-play just based on the reaction. So,
yeah.
No, I look forward to that. So it's going to be a fun tournament. Bjorn, who's winning the 2022 Qatar World Cup?
I mean, if I had to put some money on it, I would say Argentina, actually.
Yeah. Leaning towards Argentina. I might be leaning towards Brazil, though. The reason is because they haven't won in forever. Chiche is a great coach. And we talk about deep teams. I mean, they're maybe in the back they're always a little bit light, but up top, it's not just Neymar. They got Roberto Firmino, 5 other guys I've heard of. They've got like a lot. They've got quite the firepower. Up top.
I mean, for sure.
Gabi goal. They got
on paper they're always a contender. I mean, there's been something a little neurotic about that group, right? In the last couple tournaments. So
right.
And I don't know. Argentina just seems to be clicking. It seems like they have the right kind of balance of obviously a lot of talent, but also a clear kind of hierarchy as to who the guys are. And I don't know. That just seems it might finally click for them. But
the thing that gets in the way of that theory is they have a member on the roster who plays for Inter Miami CF. So I'm just like, how good can you be?
What, Higuaín is on the Higuaín?
No,
make the team?
No, Matías Thiago Almeida.
Oh, right.
No, he's Atlanta United, right?
Atlanta, yeah.
Sorry,
Atlanta.
A member of their team is on Atlanta United. How strong can you be?
That's a derogatory thing. Yeah, I guess my knock on Argentina would be like that Tati Castellanos is not in the squad.
But he only has one goal in Spain so far. I hear he's doing well, but he's just not scoring up there. But it's also Girona, so I don't think there's many goals to be had.
He's gonna take a little while, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little. Well, anyway, I guess the last topic is you are sporting the new German national team shirt. Looks good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Got the black stripe down. Mm-hmm. Got the 4 stars. Vier Weltmeisterschaft.
And if he makes the squad, Bella Kotchup's going on the back.
Nice.
He's probably not gonna get a lot of time. Either him, I don't know. Either him or Gundogan. I don't know. One of the two.
You got to show some love.
I mean, Bella Kotchup, of course, is my guy. He's from Bochum. Just really rooting for him. So happy. I thought for sure, he was going to be a contender for the next World Cup cycle. That even happened quicker is even better. And I'm just delighted that clearly he's included with an eye towards the future. But if he makes the squad, I think he's probably my number one, even though he's not going to probably play a lot. If he even makes the team, we'll see. But Gundogan would be the other one because I'm a fan of his and his game.
I like it. The U.S. kits were put on display at US Japan. a lot of flack, and Nike's coming out with the press being like, "Hey, what do you know? It's the highest sold jerseys I've ever had." Bunch of marketing crap. And Greg Berhalter's like, despite the criticism, I get it. I like it. Like, it's clearly a lot of marketing's going on, guys.
Well, Greg Berhalter has his own shoe line, right?
Shoe line,
designing shoes for them.
Yeah. So Nike, he's in Nike's pocket. Like, all right, you got to say good things.
Yeah.
It's just disappointing because Nike is one of the world's biggest football kit suppliers, not the biggest. Nike, along with Adidas and maybe Puma, is probably there too. They're just the biggest kit supplier. And Nike is based from Portland, Oregon. They're an American company, but they clearly treat the U.S. very much like second fiddle. It's just like, really, they care about Brazil and they care about all their other I think England's one of theirs, right? Right. Could be wrong, but like pretty much all the proper. It's a 2-year process because in addition to the United States not getting decent design, Canada got no design. They got no design. They're like, you're gonna have the same kit. They didn't know they were gonna make the World Cup, and for whatever reason, this design process starts 2 years ago.
Oh, that's
it's like,
terrible.
what do you need 2 years for? Like, it took you 2 years to put the U.S. logo on the PSG training kit. That's how long it took. What did you guys do?
They had a pretty nice, if like small mercies, I guess, in the category of small. It's like they had a very nice warm up jersey, though. I thought the U.S.
Did they?
They had that like sort of multicolored. Did you see it?
Maybe it's not ringing a bell. And honestly, the blues may be okay. The thing is this: A, it's a U.S. based company, and B, I think the United States just needs to come up with a more exciting kit in general. It's sort of just been what ifs.
Oh yeah,
and also it's usually all white. And it's just like, why is the U.S. sporting an all-white kit? So many other teams do that. And white isn't even a main color on our flag. It's red, white, and blue. So use all three. Like, I love the Bomb Pop shirts from 2014. Those were amazing. I know they got a little criticism, but they were very exciting. What I want, a lot of people love the Waldo ones, which are the red stripy white ones. Those I like a little less. I think they have a lot of character, and I think it's important because it is a big part of our flag. So in principle, it does make sense to have a jersey like that. And it is very unique. Like, what other team in the world plays with red and white stripes? Like,
right. I sent you a link to this warm-up kit, which I thought was pretty. If that was a jersey, I would be in favor.
What do we got here? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's fun. With the fauve on the front. That's fun. No, I do like that. I think you're right. That's the idea. A really exciting red, white, and blue. Like, even like, maybe it's a little 1990s of me. Have like a blue and white star, like little like strip here or something. And then maybe a little red and a little white around there. You go. Like, make it clear that it's the American flag on a shirt. Because certain countries, like the Dutch have orange, so they're settled. Germans are white. Germans are all white. We have white. The English have red and white. That's the English. Mexico has green. Their kit looks great. Brazil's got white. Argentina's got the Albiceleste. They got the blue and the white. Like, they're all good to go. They've got that tradition. They got the history. We do not. We kind of got to build something like that. And I just feel Nike is just pretty lazy. Like, the O2, like, all the jerseys have been pretty radically different. They're white themed. The ones in the early aughts had white and navy blue for some reason, even though navy blue is not prevalent in our flag at all. It's not one of our colors. Right. So I just think I think it's time for Nike to design something that's pretty permanent, and for that to just become our tradition. Like let's get into something. You can have fun with a second kit, but make your primary kit something more exciting than just white. Like I want to say 2010 or 2014, or it was probably 2014. The primary jersey looked just like a golf resort shirt. It was all white and had a little collar on it, and there you go. And I'm like, that's what you got? Come on now. Red, white, and blue, baby. I missed the 94 denims. I say homage that, man.
Well, no,
it's
always
true. Look good.
This is pretty cool. It looks a little. Yeah. I like they have these numbers in the middle, which is kind of cool, and so this looks a little naked without a name on it. So I'm gonna get somebody's name and number, and before the thing starts. But I'm waiting for the final squad to be released. Yeah,
looks good. I mean, the 94, all the German, like the 94 jersey was really cool. Remember, with like the German flag and feathers or whatever they had up here. And the 98 jersey was still pretty cool. There's a great motif going on.
There's a lot of good ones, and I'm waiting for a special bucket hat to go with this that hopefully I can show off at some point soon when it arrives.
Oh, I can't wait to see it. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I'm not buying the Nike jersey. I don't buy a lot of jerseys, to be honest. But maybe the blue kit. Actually, you know what I liked? I bought the U.S. kit from last year, the old one. The away kit, where they won all their titles in. That was a cool jersey. I like that jersey. The one with the dark blue and the dark red design. I like that. I was into that. Yeah. So, I think I'm just calling on Nike to boil into some sort of red, white, and blue U.S. flag jersey. Commit to a fun design. Have that be some sort of base moving forward.
Do something good. Yeah.
Do something good, you guys. But yeah, we got USA Saudi Arabia tomorrow. Germany's done, and then we're heading right back into some league action.
More. The only real news that I have, well, we already talked about last week, that Thomas Leitch is the new coach of Bochum. It was rumored last week. It's now official. He's got a hard job. We'll see.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Ich drücke den Daumen. Good luck. I'm giving you thumbs up.
And then MLS is going to be back.
LA
really
Galaxy
winding down.
Jose, right?
The Cali Classico delivered again. Usually pretty good game.
Very good game. Galaxy came up. Galaxy's sneaking in the playoffs there. I think if they win against Salt Lake this Saturday, I think they're in mathematically the playoffs. Which will be the first time
it's really winding down. We got to squeeze in a whole playoff tournament of MLS before the World Cup. So it's going to be pretty. It's going to a lot of things happening.
We have to squeeze in the MLS title. We have to squeeze in the European groups, right? I think Champions League and Europa League will be done, maybe, right? Or am I wrong? And then ish.
I don't know, actually.
Well, we got to
keep talking. I'll find out.
A lot of stuff's going on. We have to maybe squeeze in the Herbstmeister. Probably not true. I don't know how many. It's going to be 20 Bundesliga rounds in before the World Cup starts. So for the third of the season, it'll be over by then. We'll see where Bayern is.
Yeah.
We'll see if Union Berlin can stay up top. This year in MLS, Philly Union and LAFC are on a freight train. Will they keep it up? Or will there be a surprise coming outside? FC Dallas, NYCFC. Maybe my Red Bulls? Huh? Maybe Cincinnati? Maybe Austin will come in with a shot. Who knows?
Yeah, you're right. The Champions League group stage will end before the World Cup. Yeah.
So we'll see how many of the 5 German teams make the way to the round of 16 first.
It's not gonna be too.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be. I predict
too optimistic there.
I think Bayern and Dortmund are through. I don't know about Bayer Leverkusen, although Bayer Leverkusen did beat Atletico, so maybe Bayer Leverkusen, but it's not looking good for Frankfurt and not looking good for, was it Gladbach? Who's the other one?
No, definitely not. And we're going to have 15 match days before the World Cup in the Bundesliga, so not quite half, but
more than a third,
almost,
though, right?
Almost 15, half, more than a third. Yeah.
So the
15 is
match
15.
Days left.
I think would be. I would technically call that almost half.
Almost half
the season.
17 is actually half. 15.
Second 17 is half. 15 is definitely more than a third. Little less than half.
We'll have a baby Herbstmeister.
A
junior Herbstmeister. We'll see who it is. Is it Union Berlin? I don't know. One can only hope. All right. Any other thoughts in the German American?
That's it. A lot going on, and even more to come. I'm excited. I was a little bit, with all my teams being so terrible, I was a little down on the soccer, but I'm feeling more energized by this New Jersey and the upcoming. I mean,
the Germans.
That's what I finally have something in common with the Red Bulls this week.
What is it?
New Jersey.
Oh, the Red Bulls released. Oh, got it, because they're in New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. And I have a New Jersey.
Walk. Very good, very good. Don't you also have it in common that you go to half your home games out there in Red Bull Arena, also in New Jersey?
Okay.
We had a
good thing going here, and now. No.
Then I offered a truth bomb. I was like, "This is right." It's like I was like, "Why would the Red Bulls be the only team releasing a New Jersey?" It's like, "Oh, New Jersey."
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Get yourself a New Jersey.
I did not prepare that one. It just came to me.
I see your notes. I see the joke written down. I see it highlighted. You can't lie. You can't pretend that you came up with that on the fly. It was too.
It's too genius.
That was It's too genius. It's a dad joke from Bjorn the Dad.
It's too good to be spontaneous.
Well, good on you for that great joke. And the New Jersey, I'm not going to buy the U.S. jersey, I don't think, but perhaps I'll buy the new German jersey. But I think you've inspired. I think I want to go out and get my hands on a Panini album. That'd be fun.
I definitely like to. Yeah, it's just all is fun. We don't like that it's in Qatar. We keep hearing new revelations about how terrible this whole organization is.
Hoffenheim have released that their website will ignore the entire tournament.
Yeah,
they will not be mentioning anything about Qatar on their website.
I feel like if I was a more principled person, I would. I definitely. I wasn't going to go anyway. Let's be real, right. But I definitely wasn't going, even if I had any kind of. So I definitely wouldn't support the country by visiting it or anything like that. But I think to boycott it altogether, that it takes a bigger man than me. I definitely get excited.
Me too.
And
the reality is,
it is a little bit. It's a little bit tainted by all of these things for sure.
I mean, we have Western bias and European bias, and it's the World Cup, so it's the whole world. So this is a part of the world that we're unfamiliar with, doing it their way, and we guess we just have to go visit it.
Well,
There's all
yeah,
these
I mean,
terrible news reports about.
yeah,
I
I was
mean,
going to say,
obviously
it's
the work
not
that I'm
like
supporting that. What I'm saying in addition
it's
to
not
all
like
that,
we're anti. It's not like I'm anti
no, I
the
know,
Middle
we're
East per se or anything like that. But there, it's very
we're
specific to
anti-human abuse, 100%,
right.
which I'm all
Well,
about.
and also just the corruption
Right.
that led to
Of
this in the first
FIFA.
place. I mean, there's so many things to hate.
Well, you hear what
about,
they're saying now.
about
There's
all
no
this.
alcohol during games. You know that, right? But
Well,
to
I mean,
solve it,
okay, if
Budweiser's
that's
going to
the-
sell a non-alcoholic beverage, and it's like, what the heck is going?
Well, I don't know.
Beer
That's
during the
that's
games.
that's the kind of thing that I'm all right with. You know, if you as a country, you know, if that's a cultural
Right.
thing, you don't have
Homosexuality is illegal.
then
You're allowed to
that's,
put the rainbow
well,
flag up that month, but that's it.
Why do they not? So they have these. This is, well, anyway. This is a whole other topic. But they have this.
Right.
This. They're using these like weird rainbow flags as like captain's armbands.
Yeah,
But they're not. But
to
they're not
support.
using. But they're not using the actual rainbow. That's actually a sign of
Oh.
the. It's just a weird sort of designy thing. I don't know. There's a lot of.
Maybe the rainbow flag has been copyrighted. It's just cheaper to have a knockoff rainbow flag.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of, obviously a lot of kind of half-assed.
Part of the World Cup comes with all the world coming together, I guess.
But it's not. I'm not anti-Qatari because there's no alcohol in the stands.
Right.
That's not a problem.
You're just anti. Grant Wall went over there and followed up and did a great little piece talking to workers. And despite the announcements of laws changing, the follow through hasn't been great.
For sure.
Like a lot of these things that quote unquote have been promised, the workers are like, that did not happen.
Hasn't happened. And same, I read something that Amnesty International put out where they're saying there have been some improvements, but it's still pretty terrible. Yeah, all of those things. But yeah,
other than that, it's gonna be very exciting. We had a fun.
But
thing.
if I see a Panini sticker album in the shop window, my political concerns go out the window. And I feel like I'm 11 years old, and this is the only thing that matters. Yeah.
Have you ever been to a World Cup game?
No. Have I? I've told you the story of Max's birth, right? My son.
No.
My son, because in 2006, there was the World Cup in Germany, and my parents are very centrally located, within I think like a couple hours driving distance of at
Half
least
of the
three quarters of the venues, like everywhere. And so I had a big trip planned for years. A bunch of people were going to come. We were going to go to the World Cup, and then that was in 2006. So I had for years this was on my radar, and then I got married in 2005, and shortly after that, my wife announced to me that she was pregnant, and I was excited initially, but then I did math and was like, "Oh no!" And
that's
sure
on you,
enough,
bro.
and sure enough, my son was born smack in the middle of the 2006 World Cup. It's June 17th, 2006 is his birth date. So there was it was not to be. There were, of course, my mother said, "Oh, she can have the baby in Germany." She was not into that idea. And there were some early contractions in May. We went to the hospital once because she had some early contraction. And I said, "Oh, if it happens now,
but you can't leave.
We could
still leave her with a baby."
But
so let this be a lesson.
So that's what happened. I did not. I was going to go, but I did not go.
So if you're a soccer fan, take out your calendar. About 9 months before the tournament, that month you abstain.
Just shut it down. Yeah,
abstinence. That's abstinence.
Shut it down.
That's abstinence month. So you gotta wait. Okay, the timing.
I was not organized enough. Not disciplined enough. There was a lack of discipline. Lack of discipline that I paid for dearly.
With my
So,
significant
to answer
other, I'm
your-
always just like checking the counters. Like, hold on, let's see here. Let's see. Any
There's
major
got to be
events?
if we.
We're good to go. Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
it's a
Anyway,
beautiful
so
story.
I have not been to World Cup.
One is more memorable than the other. Yeah, I've always been poor. Like I'm a German American who went to high school in Brazil that loved soccer in Brazil. So I had so many great opportunities. Like I was a kid in '94. I was a little too young for that. My dad. I don't know if I ever went to games. I watched on TV. And then in the 06 World Cup, I would love to have gone, but I was just a young little poor college kid. I couldn't go. And then Brazil would have been amazing. But again, I wasn't in a place where I could do. I was teching in a theater that summer. I put the games on in the booth while teching improv shows. You know, I'm always working.
Yeah, it would be a pricey. It would be a pricey. Yeah, and I mean, even the 2006 one. Like neither of my brothers, I think, went to any games. Like it's very hard to get, tickets were hard to come by. Like I don't know what actually would have happened. But yeah, I mean, I'm really hoping for the next one. 2026 is going to be right here.
Yeah, we'll be here. I'm not going to miss this one. I'm going to try to go to a here. I'm going to figure it out.
We're going to cough it up. I'm going to cough it up and try to.
We're going to go to the LA game on Tuesday.
I would definitely
be in the Florida game Wednesday. And we're going to be in the Alaska game on Thursday, and on Friday I'm going to head up check out that New York game on Friday.
I'm going to try. I would try to follow the German team around. Definitely, that would. Definitely
and then on Saturday,
be my plan.
I'm going to the Mexico City game, and on Sunday I'm going to head up to that Calgary game. So,
yeah, it's not going to be easy because it's either a lot of traveling or spend a ton of money on these tickets. So it's not going to be easy. But we should
be roadies for the German national team. We should be like.
I'm going to try to do that.
It's not a bad idea. I would in a perfect world, like that's kind of why the sad thing about. I mean, not the sad thing. The one good thing about going to Qatar is the entire tournament takes place within like 2 hours of each other.
Yeah. Very easily accessible. Yeah, one could.
Go to all I definitely.
I definitely thought about it for that reason, but then this is not the one.
No, thank you. Okay, that's been the Schnitzel boys. We always think there's not enough to talk about, but
then we find a way. We find a
way. There's a lot going on in our lives, the world of football. And thanks for being here with us. So, a little preview. There might be a little bit of a major change in the pod coming forward.
Oh, we're teasing it.
We're teasing it. We're going to do what we do. We're just going to maybe in a few weeks, we're going to do a slight little tweak that might make it easier on you guys. For those of you who like the content, but maybe only parts of our content. That kind of thing. So we're going to make it easy on you guys, for the fans. Okay. Any last thoughts, questions, and concerns?
That's it.
Thank you very much for being here. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Go to Rammstein. Check it out if you can. We are a sponsor. And that's it. Tschüss, bis nächste Woche.
Mach's gut.